Ho, 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 casuals. Welcome back for the 296 post show with yours truly, Kyle Claus, and my boy over here.
Robert Dylan, Elf Hands.
Yes, Elf Hands. We're here to bring you all of our picks, re-talk about them, see where we went wrong, see where we went right. Let's get right into the show.
Sure.
So, first fight of the night, I believe, was Mr. Bryce Mitchell versus Josh Emmett.
Mm-hmm.
Who'd you have for that one, Robert?
I went with my gut on this one. We usually go with our head or our heart. I went with my gut, and I picked our boy Bryce Mitchell. Now, the reason I
believe I did too.
I believe I picked Bryce Mitchell because he's really great at grappling. We talked about Josh Emmett's power, and it was like, okay, it's Hail Mary power. It's not necessarily up front and in your face, but that night it was.
It was there for everybody to see, boy. One of the just most brutal knockouts of the year.
Josh Emmett throws an overhand right and just connects right on Bryce Mitchell's face.
Just perfectly in the middle of his face. Like, Bryce was seizing up in the octagon after the knockout.
No. That wasn't Bryce. That was Bryce's body. Bryce went to the shadow realm.
Yeah, Bryce was not in that body.
No. That Bryce, as soon as the fist made connection, Bryce was gone. He was no longer with us.
That man crumbled and he laid there.
Twitch.
Glitching, bro.
So scary.
It was scary. It was
so
actually
scary.
fucking scary. And then he's walking around on these awfully wobbly legs afterwards. There's
nobody who went about it better than Joe Rogan. What are you guys letting him stand for? Sit him down. And you can kind of
that man down.
You can kind of see his knees giving every step. And he's talking. He's got his hands on people's shoulders. He's talking. He's being Bryce, but like I said, that wasn't Bryce. That was somebody took over his body for a second or a minute until he got to the ambulance, he says.
That poor guy was just, oh my God, that was brutal.
So the night didn't start out great for me. I'm texting you.
Or me.
Oh my God. Like,
we both start out with a big fat goose egg.
But that fight rather, wasn't even supposed to be on the card. It was supposed to headline the prelims. And instead...
Thanks, Ian Garry.
Thanks a lot, Ian Garry.
Fucking cuck.
He got rescheduled versus Jeff Neal. I think it's for... I don't know what card it's for. 298?
Yeah.
So
it was supposed to be 299, and then Dana last night goes live and says, it's on 298. Sorry.
Vicente doesn't even get that fight. What's up with that?
Yeah, that's lame. Vicente deserves that fight. Come on.
But as long as it's rescheduled, as long as Ian pulls his boyfriend's what out of his what, then we'll be fine.
Yeah.
Anyways, on to the next. After R.I.P. Bryce, hopefully he gets better and comes back better. And shout out to Josh Emmett. What do you do with Josh Emmett right now?
Well, he in the after fight, he said, I'd love to fight Max. So, I mean, maybe, sure, put them together.
Which you don't really hear that a lot. Anybody who wants to fight Max, maybe look their way a little bit. But that's a big jump. Yeah. You're talking about the perennial number one contender. You're talking about that dude.
You're talking about that guy right under Volk.
Never been knocked out. I don't even think he's been dropped. Maybe. But I don't
like once.
I don't think so. Maybe Volk did it. I'm not sure.
But you know what? That reminds me before we move on. Bryce took this on short notice, right? Like a week or something. Short notice has not been kind to fighters this year.
No.
Can we? I think less than if it's like a week or two, man, is it really worth taking? You're ruining big chances that if you had just taken the time to prepare, like Volk, Why? Why take that light heavyweight fight?
Okay,
Not
well,
light heavyweight, lightweight, but
yeah. Volk, he was an anomaly in that whole situation. Usually, what does Dana love? President of the UFC, Dana White, loves people who are down to fight whoever, whenever.
Yeah.
So you get into good graces with the UFC, but if you lose, you're like, okay, well, I didn't lose with a full camp with all my potential. They're not going to cut me. But like you said with Volk, like, you're not going to get that third shot at Islam.
Oh.
He's talking about fighting Leon Edwards, or he's talking about fighting anybody else but Volk. So
yeah, so it's just like, it seems really risky, and I get it. You want to show up, you want to get that win on short notice because it makes you look nuts, but that's just tough.
There does come an advantage with studying your opponent for weeks on end. Not just 2 or 3, not 1, but like 8, 12 weeks. You're getting ready for them, specifically wrestling base, striking base. You're getting prepared for them at their best, and you're at your best. Maybe not so much like wear and tear comes with a short camp, because you only have 2 or 3 weeks to really put some pain on your body. But it's the muscle memory. It's the zig when you should zig and zag when you should zag, instead of not being able to be prepared in the sense of, well, Josh Emmett's power. The big right hand is coming.
Oh my God!
You have
came
2 or 3 weeks
all over his face.
Tough. It was tough. So you have all the time in the world to prepare for that, and it just wasn't engraved in your mind. So,
No.
Like I said, shout out to Josh Emmett. I hope he gets the fights he wants. He's not doing that to Max, though.
No. But it'd probably be a pretty fun fight to watch. So
Of course. On to the next. What was the next fight of the night, Kyle?
We had Paddy the Baddy Pimblett versus Mr. Tony El Kukui Ferguson in our first diverging fight.
I'm going to go ahead and correct you on that. I saw Tony Ferguson there. I did. And I even saw him with homeboy David Goggins. And I saw
El Kukui was not there.
Who? I haven't seen El Kukui in 7 fights now.
Man.
And this counting as one of them, I'm going to go ahead and spoil it for the rest of us. I'm pulling up the verdict right now. This is the only fight that I got right. This is the only fight that I got right. But I'm glad I got it right. That's how
Why are you glad?
That's how happy I am with this pick. And not only did Paddy go out there and beat him, it wasn't like a Jared Gordon. It was a sight to see. It was it's not a high caliber Tony, but maybe it was supposed to be. And he just ran into a high caliber Paddy.
So we're going to have differing opinions on this fight.
Sure. Go ahead.
What I saw was a very mediocre performance by Paddy Pimblett he just happened to be fighting Tony, who did absolutely fuck all. Paddy did not look good in this fight. He gets the win over a very aging Tony. He can't get Tony. He can't finish Tony. He barely gets him out of there. It wasn't impressive. So if we go back to our conversation from last week,
sure.
If you throw him against any of the top 15, I think he gets slaughtered. That's my casual take.
And I agree it is a casual take, because do you know how good Tony Ferguson's guard is? Do you know the likes of Edson Barbosa, the Donald Cerrone's of the world, the Rafael dos Anjoses, the Kevin Lees, Kevin Lees?
You're talking about El Kukui, Tony.
Maybe this was El Kukui.
This was not El Kukui.
Maybe
you know it.
He got dropped with a jab. It was the flying knee that Paddy likes to do, followed by a stiff jab. Drops Tony. When you ever see Tony get dropped like that? It doesn't happen. Now, if you're in Tony's guard for 3 rounds, you're expecting him to throw up something, and he had a couple elbows for Paddy, but it wasn't what he needed to be. And it sickens me to think that that Paddy couldn't get the job done, but I think there were some ankle problems from the recovering surgery that he had. Not trying to make excuses, but you have to be careful in a guard of Tony Ferguson. No matter what, Tony Ferguson shows up. And he demolished him, had so much control time. Now, I think Tony caught him in the nose, and he couldn't breathe through his nose because of all the blood and stuff.
He had that nose bleed, like it was like covering the tip of his nose. I thought it like ripped his nose open or something. It looked so odd.
Yeah.
But, all right, so Paddy gets the win.
Mm-hmm. Say it again.
Paddy gets the win. And you know what? Let's talk about the top 15. Drew Dober, Bobby Green, Renato Moicano. Moicano, whatever. It's Brazilian, man. Rafael dos Anjos. Who do you want? If Paddy gets a top 15 fight, who's he fight?
Give him RDA. I think he needs to become the Randy Orton of the UFC. I think he needs to take on the Legend Killer.
Man, you're talking about Randy Orton though.
One
of the greatest.
Who blossomed into one of the greatest.
He blossomed, boy. See him return? That dude was
juicy. So you have to give...
That's for another show.
Yeah, that's for another show. You have to give Paddy his due, and you have to take it slow. Hang on. Of course you don't, but you want to see him against Benoit Saint Denis? I don't.
Yeah, I do.
I don't.
You have in there with fucking Drew Dober.
That's a scary Drew Dober.
That dude, Drew Dober looks like the Nazi version of like the perfect human, you know?
Sure. He looks like the Nazi Captain America. Like
he does.
Like he's on the super soldier serum.
It's crazy. Dude's insane.
You can't give him to a guy that's on the same because Drew Dober's what, 35? Something like that. Is he that
old?
I think he's that old, bro. Maybe 33. I'm not sure. He's up
35.
there.
35. I thought he was a little bit younger. Yeah.
Me too, because he looks chiseled. He looks crazy young. He's on his last ride, and I don't mean the last ride is in he's got 2 more fights left, but like ride to the title, like he just had a baby. Like I don't see him getting up there and then falling again and then getting back up and falling.
Nah, he's got to go now.
He's got to go now. So how old is RDA? If you can find that out real quick. Because I think RDA is somewhat like maybe 38, 37. 39. I was going to give him 38. So you got to give him to Paddy because it's like it's still going to be a good fight. You have high caliber experience at 170, at 155. It's just what does he do? And does he make it to the fight? And does he let Paddy get in his head? Question for you. If not RDA, then who? Who can it be a good fight against? I don't want to see a massacre. I don't want to see him in there with somebody who's just going to punch his lights out. Like, we have to give Paddy a chance. We got to give him a fight. Not that he can win, but that it can look good and put him through adversity, kind of like the Tony Ferguson fight.
Let's go. I would say let's go Bobby Green.
Even after coming off a knockout loss to Jalen Turner?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's got to worry about being knocked out by Paddy. I think it'd be a pretty fun scrap.
It would be a fun scrap. I like the word that you used, scrap. Because I don't see a lot of technical stuff from Paddy. I mean, he gets in firefights, and then even in his knockouts, you see left, right, haymakers, boom, 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 boom. And then the flying knee, and then he's got submissions for days, but so does Bobby Green. So I think that would be a great fight. I don't want to serve him somebody on a loss. I don't want somebody on a high trajectory path to the title like a Drew Dober. But I don't want somebody coming off a loss and him fighting cans. I don't say that as a casual. I say that just quoting cans coming off of a loss or nobodies, or he has to start making his fights like his stardom, like his superstardom. Like he has to be on that path. So I think you give him a legend, a recognizable name That way, he starts to get some momentum while fighting those veterans. But it's your quickest way to the title. It's your quickest, slowest way. And I know that's an oxymoron, but when you're fighting these contenders, nobody really knows who these guys are. They could come in and fix my garage, and I'll be like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's the truth.
So that being said, shout out to David Goggins. Thank you for at least attempting to get Tony in a mental toughness zone, but there's only so much you can do for cardio and mental toughness. He has to spar. He's has to spar. He's got to spar.
He looks sloppy as fuck out there. That being said, what's next for Tony? You know, I think
most losses in a row in UFC history without being cut. What do you do?
I don't know, man.
I am here to announce my training camp for Tony Ferguson.
The sacrificial lamb. Tony could go out on a win. Man,
so Dana signed me, bro, and I'm making it to 155, and I'll fight T Ferg any day, anytime, anywhere.
I know he's like Dana has to love this guy to keep him around and respects the name that Tony Ferguson had built. But if this was anybody else, they'd have been gone a couple of fights to go.
So, real quick, where do you cut him at? Where do you cut him? Where does will you look up his streak? Where does the losing streak start? You'd call that what, 2 in a row, 3 in a row?
I mean,
he loses to Justin Gaethje, opening the card of 2020.
So that was like, that could have happened to anybody. So yeah, not there. Then he loses to Charles, right? I think Charles is the next loss.
Mm-hmm.
That could have happened to anybody.
You're talking about contenders.
Yeah, we're talking about top tier contenders there. Then you get Beneil Dariush.
Well, the Beneil one was, I don't know about that one, but still top contenders.
Yeah, it's still a top contender. I wasn't going to say cut there. The knockout to Michael Chandler, top contender.
Uh-huh.
And like, still one of the most brutal knockouts you could ever watch.
His face it's just like, was mushed, bro.
Chandler just decided to throw a random up kick and destroy Tony's head. Lost to Nate Diaz.
I think you cut him there. As much as
that probably should have been it.
As much as Nate Diaz, I think that fight was what, at 170?
I think so.
So it's like, this isn't your weight class. He's not a Nate. All power to him. I'm always, on with the Diaz brothers. But it wasn't for anything. Just go ahead, give Nate the win right off into the sunset. Tony, all right, fighter removed from the roster.
Just crazy, man.
Next.
Tony has not won in this decade.
Oh, no. We're almost 4 years in.
Hasn't won since 2019.
That's rough, Tony.
I mean, that's just so sad.
I don't know if you guys have followed Twitter, Kyle included. He's not retiring. So what's he going to do?
I don't know, man. I don't know who you give him.
I don't know what you do either. Actually, I do. You cut him, you send him to BKFC.
No, you want him to die? Dude, Mike Perry would probably murder him in the ring.
It doesn't have to be Mike Perry, and it doesn't have to be BKFC. We just had a guy win this past weekend, this past Friday actually, after the show. Give him to old Jake Paul, dude. Give him a 3-week camp, fight Jake Paul, dude.
How would you feel if you watched old Tony Ferguson get KO'd by Jake Paul? Would that really make you happy?
It made me real sad, man.
And that's probably what could happen.
It would make me real sad. Well, because you're taking away Tony's ground game, his wrestling, his blades, and his shades.
Yeah, he didn't look good at all on the feet. So,
he's getting knocked. Anyways, can we stop all this Tony Ferguson hate? He's going to come after us.
It's not hate, but it's just yeah.
It's hate to him. If it's
definitely hate to him.
If it's any kind of negative connotation, it's hate to him. So I'd rather not have. He's not El Kakui to them. He's El Kakui to us.
Tony, you're always welcome on the show.
Not in person.
Nah, yeah, we'll satellite you in because you were still terrifying to us casuals.
Oh man, what was next? What was next?
Next, this is where. So at this point in the card, I'm down. I'm down one. You know, I'm getting a little nervous about my picks.
Sure.
Tony doesn't show up for me. But then we go into Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Steven Wonderboy Thompson, who came out with Jack Black, which was awesome. You know, I was still, even though I picked Shavkat, like I said, I was still really rooting for Wonderboy.
Of course.
But Shavkat just, I mean,
stop it. So
he just controlled him.
I'm here not only representing my boy SC, I'm representing WB with Pitch Black Fight Sports. You guys know what it is. Out of Simpsonville, South Carolina, you have Upstate Karate Family Center and Martial Arts. Where they
Wonderboy Thompson.
Where they teach zero wrestling. Good Lord.
I think they need to add that to the curriculum.
Now it is, but for him to be doing it as long as he's doing, or as long as he's done it.
And I know we're about to like talk about how poor his wrestling is, but he defended a few of those takedowns quite nicely in round one.
You know what killed him?
I don't recall.
When he was on a single, Shavkat was on a single, a high single too, up here.
Yeah.
And Wonderboy jumps and tries to give him like a knee to the ribs or something.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Plants on his arm. His arm ends up behind him, so he's just eating shit to the face, and he just got trapped. Got demolished. He's still up there. I mean, if you're number 6 and you lose to number 5, you're still up there.
Yeah, you're not going to fall far if you fall at all.
But this was like Drew Dober. This was his last ride to the title. Like I don't see him skipping the line. Leon versus Wonderboy would have been a fantastic on the feet fight.
It'd be so much fun. Steven cannot suffer another loss. I think one more loss in his career. Like his career's not done. He can continue fighting all he wants, but like, you're not going to get another title. You're not going to get there if you take another loss. I think it's just it'd be too much compounding.
Not in the UFC. He could go to Karate Combat. I don't know how many of you casuals know what Karate Combat is, but over the weekend, I think Tim Dirty Bird Means, I think he's the champion now. Light heavyweight champion, something like that. So you go on to Karate Combat where you're in the pit and you can bounce off the walls. I think Anthony Pettis beat Benson Henderson again. Like, there are outlets out there. Like, I was joking about BKFC. I don't know. I don't know about
fighting outlets at the moment.
And I don't mean just other MMA outlets, the PFLs mixed with the Bellator or the One Championship. There are other outlets out there that are being backed by big Saudi money or, you know, people who want to see violence. So you could go to the BKFCs or the Karate Combats. I don't think he can suffer another loss in a row, which is it's so blasphemous to say, oh, well, he loses to Shavkat and then he loses to somebody else, and then we cut him. He's 40. We just talked about Tony Ferg, vet in the game, who has 7 losses in a row. So
it's got to be a tough spot when you're talking about cutting a legend.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you choose? How do you decide? Like you said, what fight should Tony have been cut at? Should he be cut now? I mean,
which fight looks worse? Steven Wonderboy Thompson against a 17-0 prospect, now 18-0, and all 18 finishes, or Tony Ferg, who loses to Paddy the Batty Pimblett in a lackluster kind of lay and pray. Like, Tony's looks
not even
worse.
Close. Tony looks that fight looks terrible.
So how does Steven Wonderboy Thompson look against the striker? Up there, he's part of the best upper echelon strikers in the world. So I think you wait, you take some time, and you fight the winner of Kevin Holland versus Michael Venom Page. And I know Go ahead.
Is that official?
Official. Dana announced it in the post-press,
Okay.
post-fight presser.
I've seen so much stuff about MVP coming and not coming, signing, not signing. So yeah, that's gonna be a fun one to watch. I'd love to see Wonderboy versus MVP. I think that'd be pretty interesting.
And like I said, I know that Kevin Holland and him have already fought, but let's run it back. Let's stop giving him these up and coming. Like, I don't want to disclose his purse or anything, but I think he gets like $250,000 every time he fights. So if not more, undisclosed. So I feel like you're giving him all these killers, which if you look at the top of the 170 division, aside from Leon, you have Colby wrestle heavy, Bilal wrestle heavy, Shavkat wrestle heavy. You just have all these guys that.
A lot of wrestling in the welterweight division.
Kamaru Usman, if he goes back down. And so I don't know. I don't know. But I was backing my coach, gave him all I could, and just to see him get choked for the first time submitted in his UFC career.
Yeah. Yeah, that's saying something.
Shavkat, how good is he? Because
Shavkat, it's so funny to me because if you just look at Shavkat, does he look like a guy you'd be scared of?
No. Even with
he
the
looks
hat.
like a just very normal looking dude. He looks small in welterweight, but apparently he's not.
I heard a rumor though.
What's that?
I heard your girl has a little bit of a thing for him though.
I've heard that. I mean, I was watching some of his last fight, or maybe 2 fights ago, during the weigh-in show where they're talking, and she was just, I gotta move to Kazakhstan and I gotta learn from him.
She's meat riding, dude.
Laura, you gotta come on the show, talk about him, talk about me. It'd be a great show. So
it would be a good show.
Invitation's always out there for you.
But that was my coach, and I see him go down, and I didn't like it. That's where I knew, like, okay, now we're tied on bragging rights, but I still have hope for the rest of the card.
Yeah, we got 2 fights to go. Easily could go either way. Getting on to the co-main event. I don't know if there's much else to say here.
Shout out to my old coach, Wonderboy Thompson.
Shout out, Wonderboy. We love you here. Alexandre Pantoja versus Brandon Raw Dog Royval. For the main card, I think this probably was fight of the night. That's not saying much.
So, one thing I will bring to the attention of our audience and our casuals and our fight fans, we have hardcores that watch this show, but we also have casuals. We have coaches that watch the show. We have students. We have a plethora.
Dana.
We have plethora of people that watch this show.
Plethoras of people. There's multiple people that watch this show. More than one.
for sure. So, that being said, I just want to bring to the attention that rounds 3, 4, 5, Pantoja looked dead. Exhausted.
He looked like an actual zombie, though, because even in his dead walking, he was putting stuff up. It was kind of weird. It was almost like I knew he was exhausted, but part of me wondered if he was playing a little bit of possum at times, maybe overselling the exhaustion, because he was still going. It was really crazy. Well, round 5, there was nothing in that tank.
So, real quick, the answers for 1, 2, and 3, and 4 is, okay, round 1, lay and pray, can't really get past his guard, gets into this little half guard, but then he gets a lockdown, and he can't really move. Same thing round 2. He gets taken down, or Royval gets taken down, and you're not stuff take down, oh, I'm tired. When you're tired like that, you have maybe 1 or 2 explosions, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Royval wasn't stopping those 1 or 2 and then just getting laid on the rest of the round.
Yeah.
All it takes is 1. Okay, I'm going to explode, get the takedown. Oh, thank God. Now I get to lay here and relax.
I could chill for a minute. Pantoja came out guns blazing round 1. Very fast. Maintain a little bit of that in 2. Like you said, come round 3, the dude looks pretty tired. And
Yeah.
I'm getting nervous about my picks. But he's able to still get those takedowns, still get 1 or 2 takedowns, control Royval. Royval does start piecing him up in round 5, a little bit in 4. But it just wasn't enough. Like, Pantoja did what he had to do to win the fight.
Yeah. He's getting behind Royval and he's interlocking the hands, however he's doing it, and then he's just picking him up and sitting him down.
Yeah,
he just seemed content to be there, and I'm just like, bro, you gotta go. Like you're getting control time. I get it, but you gotta submit this guy to make it look any kind of like championship level, appearance. And Royval, it's like you gotta go, as in stop laying on your back, dude.
You have to do something.
And that's what his corner tells him going into round 5. Like, you got to go. You got 5 minutes. You gotta piece this guy up. And that's exactly what he did. And Royval's got cardio for days. He probably should have did that in round 3.
Probably should have done that. Start it sooner, bro. Like, I don't get these guys. And I'm not in there, so I get it. You're probably, hesitant at times. There's going to be things you're going to see that's going to make you a little cautious. But when you're down, come 4, you just got to go, man. You just got to do something.
And they expected him to be awkward and unorthodox. So it's like you're not fitting the mold exactly, because how do you prepare for unorthodox? How do you prepare for random? How do you prepare? You don't. You can't. You just have to.
We didn't get that.
No, we had regular schmegular until round 5 when he's throwing 9-piece combinations, Kyle. Boom, 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 boom. And
that's when I really started getting worried. Like, oh shit,
old zombie head just.
Nah, he just took it a walk. The cannibal dude, he ate those punches. I mean, I haven't said it on the show yet, but for entertainment value, this whole card was mid to below mid, and it just gets worse in the main event. So
you see Alexandre keep his title, and he says in the post-fight presser, or just in the post-fight interview, he goes, yeah, I know it was a boring fight, but, I got to keep this belt. My family needs this and X, Y, Z. And I loved it because he's being honest and he's being real.
I respected that more than, like, some of these other guys.
But I hated it as in, like, okay, well, you're setting a precedent. You're setting... Speaking of precedent, President Trump was there.
He was. He was there.
But you're allowing the narrative like, oh, all I got to do is go lay and pray for a couple rounds, which it is not up to the offender. I don't want to say offender. The guy on the offensive, it's not up to him to necessarily finish the fight if he's just trying to gain control time. It's the guy on his back. You've been doing the jiu-jitsu. You've been doing the wrestling. You've had a full camp. Get off your back. It's up to you and only you.
And everybody loves an entertaining champion, but, like, I get it. You're from Brazil. You probably grew up poor, I imagine.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to set his family up for the rest of his life, no matter what. And he's going to do whatever he's got to do to win. If that's lay and pray, if that's... I mean, I respect it. I may not enjoy watching it, but I can at least respect it.
Okay. So the champion gets a good lump sum of money. And I think he even gets pay-per-view points. Do you see Alexandre Pantoja headlining a pay-per-view? No. Because people don't want to watch that. So you're trying to set your family up. And I get all that. I'm not trying to be a stickler, and I'm not trying to be stop wrestle fucking, it's boring. I get what you have to do for your family, but you don't speak English, not like that, not enough to cut a mean promo on Brandon Raw Dog Royval. So what are you selling? You're selling a lay and pray mentality. You're selling bad cardio going into the later championship rounds. Nobody's going to want to watch you. You're going to be a co-main event for the rest of your career. No, that's not going to get you money. It's going to get you a little bit. You're going to get champ money, and you might share a percentage of the pay-per-view with a guy like Leon who, again, couldn't sell ice to an Eskimo or whatever it's called. I don't know. Like,
I think that's right.
I just don't approve of it, and I don't like it, and that's me as a casual. That's my casual take.
I get that. Entertainment value is not there. You're trying to sell pay-per-views. It's not going to be there. Yeah, like I said, like this whole pay-per-view was fairly lackluster. The only real big highlight is Emmett squashing Bryce Mitchell's brain.
Good start. It was off to a great start.
A great start, but boy, did it slow down to a halt by the end. That being said, let's go into the main event.
The main event having nothing but pure chaos from our boy Colby Chaos Covington, putting a beating on old Leon Edwards. Right, Kyle?
In your dreams, buddy. in your dreams later that night. Because let me tell you, everybody that may not have seen that fight, this was the worst main event since, I don't know,
Yoel
Rose
versus Adesanya. Oh, don't do that. Don't say Rose.
I'm not saying
Carla.
It was as bad as that one, but it was the worst since then.
So the main event comes on, and I'm hyped because even though I've done so bad up until this point, the best I can hope for is a tie in bragging rights.
I text you, I'm like, okay, at least I can't lose tonight. I knew I couldn't lose going into this fight, so I was relaxed. I was ready to watch a good main event between two hated rivals. And boy, that's not what we got.
He brought up my dad. This guy's as good as dead. Okay.
I didn't see no headshots.
That being said, I saw some leg shots.
There's a lot of leg shots.
Apparently Colby broke his ankle in the first 30 seconds. I don't know about that. That's still
Is that what he said?
That's what he said. He's went on Fox News and he said that he won rounds 3, 4, and 5, and the judges didn't get to him because
the most delusional Colby we've ever seen in our lives, bro.
It's bad, man. It's bad. Oh, well, they know I'm for Trump. That's why they didn't vote for, or that's why they didn't, give it to me in my favor. It was the easiest fight of my life, and dude, you saw me in the blazer. You saw me in the red, white, and blue. You know how much I love some Colby Covington because it reminds me of the WWE roots that I have and how he's willing to just go out on a limb and talk all the trash. But man,
you gotta back it up, bro.
And he always does. He
normally does. He normally brings it.
But this particular fight, I don't know what that was, and I don't know who that was. You're talking about he hasn't fought since March 2022, I think, and that was Jorge Masvidal. Can I ask you this? Do you think, in your opinion, that ring rust is real?
You know what? I really don't know, because you'll see some guys come off a long break and perform just fine. And then you'll see this. I don't know what happened. Maybe it was ring rust. Maybe underestimated Leon a little bit. A lot of people were like, those up kicks Leon was throwing may have caught him off guard. Maybe he didn't want to go for that takedown. Maybe he was concerned about those kicks. Maybe he got injured. Maybe he's just a bitch. We'll never really know. But he acted like a bitch in that fight. That's for sure. Leon looked like he was just sparring all night. Like, as bad as Colby performed, Leon really should have gone for the finish at some point. But he was also just happy to just
play it safe,
piece him up, just
keep him at range, bing, bing, bing.
Spar, he wants to show off his grappling. Like, why? It really didn't look good that you lost round 5 to this Colby that did nothing all fight just because you wanted to show that you could grapple as well. Show your defensive grappling, get out of those positions, and piece him up. That's what you have to do. You're not going to win a wrestling match with Colby. You're not going to win a wrestling match with Kamaru. You're not going to win a wrestling match with Bilal. Like, we don't want to see that. It doesn't matter if you can do it. Just do what you're good at.
And poor Colby. Ray Longo said it best. That going into that fight, he had a pro Colby crowd. Everyone was ready.
loved him.
Everyone was ready to bring him in to the champ. Finally, my white trash parlay is coming to fruition. This is going to be easy. This is going to be a fight like no one's ever seen. And this is going to be a crowning like no one's ever seen. He gets the title, bro. No one's touching Colby. I don't even know if Colby fights again at this point. But
Like, yeah,
because who's he going to fight? He called out Wonderboy because he was talking trash on him, which Wonderboy doesn't talk trash. He just says the truth.
Yeah.
So if you can't handle that, then what are you doing? Bilal, he's not going to fight Bilal for the number one contendership. If you're going to have a number one contenders fight, it's going to be Bilal versus Shavkat. Man, I was so disappointed. I stayed up.
It was a really disappointing performance. Like, and I remember, this may not hold any value, but when he was on his walkout to the cage, I remember looking to a friend of mine and saying, I said something like, he looks really tired. He looks, and he did. Like, he didn't have any pep going to that cage. He had no energy in the cage during the fight. Like, it was baffling to me what happened out there. It was.
Well, I want the real thing. I don't want any excuses if they're not real. I don't want.
I don't want to hear no BS.
If you broke your ankle, cool. Did you do it in camp? Did you do it before the fight? How did the weight cut go? Like, is it ring rust? Were you off a little too long? Don't do the whole Trump thing, because you do the Trump thing and you start getting boos and you guys are a bunch of broke bitches anyways. Like, come on.
You look like a bitch. You ended 296. You ended 2023 as the bitch of the UFC. You didn't look good. You talked a lot of shit. You couldn't back it up at all. Trump walked out on you, bro. Trump left the arena while you're like sucking his dick on the mic, and he said, "Nah, dude, I don't want to hear it. You suck."
They can't deny us. They can delay us, but they can't deny us. And Trump's like, "Oh yeah, cool."
Yeah, bye, peace. I wonder what he said to Dana. Was like, is this guy for real?
Yeah.
Like,
come on, dude. So I wasn't happy. I'm pulling up the verdict again. The only fight I got right was Paddy, dude. And like I said, I take a little bit of pride in that. Shout out to Verdict MMA. If you guys want to go download the app, it's in your nearest app store.
Use code CCMMA and
triple your XP.
You get triple XP for your first 55 pay-per-views. So, sign up now.
I don't understand how you can have such a bad performance defensively and your opposition not take advantage of that. Like,
you just, yeah.
Because you're reading the range. You're reading the range. You're like, okay, this guy's not going to go. I don't have to go either. All right, cool. Have fun with that. Have fun with your 80,000 pay-per-views.
Yeah, like,
it's bad business.
I don't know if Leon has said this since the fight, but like, you can't come off of that performance and ask for Islam or any other champ status. You can't do it. You can't go to middleweight. You can't go down.
So what do you give him?
You don't deserve it. I guess Bilal, as much as I don't want to see that.
Oh, man.
I think there's very little. You can't deny that Bilal deserves, I guess. Let's look at the welterweight top 5.
Sure. Well, we can go ahead and mark off that Usman's going to happen again, because it's not.
That's not happening. Gilbert Burns. I mean,
No.
I'm always down for Gilbert, but there's another short notice fight that screwed your trajectory up. Take that short notice fight with Bilal, and that Bilal doesn't.
Screw Bilal. You're always welcome on CCMMA, but
No, you know what? No, you're not. I don't want you. I don't want to talk to you, bro.
What's his name again? I forget.
I forgot, dude.
Forget the name.
Forget the name, man. We don't want to see it. He's got to be one of the most hated fighters on the cards.
And then they show him on that big crowd cam. Okay, I'll name you a more entertaining fight than the main event. And it was Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis in the crowd.
In the crowd, bro.
they're doing the thing, and they got Dricus, yeah, and they pan up to Sean. It's like 2 rows in front of him, and then Sean's like, yeah, boom, and then Dricus is still talking shit back here. Sean Strickland, the maniac, the psychopath that he is, looks at Gilbert Burns' wife and son and goes,
please get out of the way.
Hey, scoot over real quick. And as soon as they do, jumps and starts wailing on Dricus. Boom, boom, boom. And then they get separated. Dana, he called fault for that. So
he did. He said, yeah, what idiot put them together? This guy. There's just an oversight. Like, you can't put those guys together. Not after the 2024 press conference they had. Some harsh things were said.
Very.
And honestly, this is the first time I think somebody's in Sean's head.
DDP?
DDP, I think DDP is in Sean's head. DDP was, he didn't really care that he was saying the gay shit to him about him and his coach. It didn't seem to bother him, but then he threw out, I'm going to beat you like your dad used to beat you. So,
God. I think he's in his head. I agree, but what does that do with Sean? What does that do to Sean?
We don't know.
Does it
could
have...
be good. It could be bad.
See? It's up in the air.
Know. You take this Leon fight, and I don't know what it did. It looked like it did nothing to Leon. Leon, he didn't give a shit because he barely fought.
Well, because he knows that if he would have went hard and exposed himself, like, I don't know what's going to happen. You think Colby's going to knock you out, dude? Cold? He puts 30%, 40% on his shots. He's not hitting you with everything he's got. I don't think he should have been weary of Colby knocking him out. I don't think he should have been weary of a fantastical takedown, because it's like, you went up against Kamaru. You got the wrestling. Like, you have the defensive wrestling, if that. Like, put some shots out there. Touch his chin a little bit. I'm not saying what you should or shouldn't do with Leon. I'm saying right now, I don't care.
Yeah, no one cares. Put him on a co-main event for another bigger card.
Yeah, that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to put him on UFC.
If it's Leon Bilal, it has to be a co-main event. No one's going to buy that pay-per-view. No one's buying headlining Bilal Muhammad versus Leon Ed. No one cares. Someone's going to have to carry that pay-per-view.
It's probably UFC 300, honestly. And that's probably the perfect...
No, don't put that one on 300, please.
But you have to, when it comes to... That's a throwaway fight. Shout out to Uncle Chael. He was saying, if you give it to Shavkat or you give it to Bilal, you got to throw that fight on UFC 300, because it's not going to sell anything. If you have a press conference, Leon Edwards versus Shavkat Rakhmonov, they're probably going to cancel it. It's not going to do any numbers. And that's the free thing. That's free. People pay to go to those.
Welterweight may be the dullest.
Right now, the matchups just aren't there. Now, if you give me a number one contenders match, Shavkat versus Bilal, I'll watch that. So Shavkat can prove himself, and so Bilal can prove himself. And with Shavkat being on his 18-0 run, 18 finishes, I'd like to see Bilal get finished with something other than an eye poke.
Yeah, I just want to forget about Bilal completely.
That being said, I think you're right in your observation, not even your assumption, your observation that this card was mid. And now we're not going to have UFC for another 4 weeks until Sean Strickland and Duplessis. I don't think I'm looking forward to anything but that.
I'm ready, dude. I want to see that one.
Wait. That's the first pay-per-view of the year. That's not even the first fight card, I don't think. Because it's Johnny Walker versus Ankalaev.
Oh, that should be a pretty fun. Yeah, I remember seeing that. That should be a really fun fight card. UFC Mexico's looking really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Ortega versus Yair.
2?
Yeah, it would be 2, because that's where I think that's the fight that Ortega dislocated his shoulder or elbow. Yeah, I mean UFC 2024's got a solid start. It seems like.
We'll see about that. Other than that, you got a meme of the week?
I do. You got it. You got it. Throw it on up there.
I'm pulling it up right now. Only one of these guys holds a win as a cornerman in the UFC.
So you got David Goggins, the Navy SEAL, the Hell Week extraordinaire, the cardio god, and the mental toughness god training Tony Ferguson, and then you had Detroit. I forget. I don't even know what it was. Detroit Street Fitness, Detroit Street Defense. I don't know. He cornered Joaquin Buckley at some point in his career, and Joaquin Buckley won. So, I mean, the proof is in the pudding.
Stop it. This guy's known for his like crazy like self-defense tactics, and it doesn't go. He's selling you guys snake oil. It's not going down like he says it's going to go down. Stop it.
He has 100% win rate in the UFC. Okay.
More so than David Goggins. I get it. I say David Goggins got dealt a bad hand because he's been behind John Jones before with the Ciryl Gane fight, but he picked the wrong guy. The only guy to finish his Hell Week in Tony Ferguson. He's like, yeah, Tony, you got this. Round 5, he's like, Tony, you gotta fucking go. Lock in. You gotta go.
You gotta do something, homie.
Did I say round 5? I meant round 3. Yeah. But man, if that fight would have been 5 rounds,
I'd have been asleep.
Come on, man.
That's what would have happened.
Go easy on my boy Paddy, man.
Nah, dude. Paddy's gonna get derailed. It's gonna happen.
So the American Revolution was last Saturday. And I think that the European superpower that is Leon Edwards and Paddy the Baddy, and I just think it took over, man. And I hate to say it, but I had a lot of faith in our American brothers. And really, Tony, I didn't want to see him lose, and I said that on the show. I don't want to see him lose, but it just didn't go his way. And it didn't go Colby's way. And now I have to sit here with my verdict picks, one pick
looking
right.
Like that. Looking like that. Look at that. Look at that.
Look at that.
Is mine up at the moment too?
Yeah.
Are they side by side?
Side by
Look
side.
at that. I got all that green. I got the BR for the week, baby. Let's go. Look at that. Look at that buff Santa, baby.
Look at that BR, dude. Anyways, I'm gonna send you my meme right now, and it's appropriate. And I
haven't seen it.
I love this guy, and I don't want to talk too much trash on him. Let me know when you get it.
Can't even use my face recognition on my phone right now.
This is my meme of the week.
I saw that too. It's so funny.
Our boy
Jesus.
Colby Chanel bag Covington. It's, man, I've never seen somebody who used to look in sorts just so out of sort, man. I could have carried over Ian Garry to the next week and the next week and the next week because he will forever be CCMMA's
meme of the year.
Biggest meme. Meme of the year, you said it. You said it.
Meme of the year.
And that was only in the last month of MMA, bro. He hasn't been, I mean,
crazy.
The stuff he said about Neil Magny, whatever, that was back, in the day. But the last quarter of the year, you just turn into the biggest villain of MMA. And Colby, as bad as it looked, the bitch of 2023, it didn't overshadow what's going to happen in Ian Garry's next fight. Shout out to Ian Garry. You and your nutritionist are always welcome on CCMMA. Oh, I need to hear that. I need to hear that episode of Maury. I need to hear that Jerry Springer. Kyle, this has been the most fun that I've had MMA related in my whole entire life. I absolutely adore doing this show with you.
It's a beautiful show. It's a beautiful place to be.
If you haven't already, as a casual and as a fan, sent this to your casual friends, if you haven't reached out to your favorite fighters or your favorite analysts or your favorite announcers and told them about this show, what are you doing with your life? What was her name? Brittany something? She just retired as a ring girl.
Brittany Palmer.
Brittany Palmer. Shout out to Brittany Palmer. You are always welcome on the Sensational Sectional. That being said, I don't think, for my money, you have Paul Felder and Michael Chiesa, you have DC and RC, you have Ariel and the Bad Guy. There is not a better MMA show, hands down, than the couch casuals. So I just want to give a shout out to my beautiful host, Kyle Diorio. And I just want to tell you, Kyle, how appreciative I am of you doing this show once or twice a month. Hopefully we get more shows in, better quality, more interactions, all that stuff. I love it so much, and I have such a fun time doing this show.
Dude, it's a blast. 2024 is going to be the year of the casuals. Thankful for my bro here to do this show. And, Merry Christmas. Happy New Year to all the casuals out there, because this will be the last show of the year. So, ho, ho, ho.
We will be back. We will be back starting the year fresh, 2024, with Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis. With more memes, more bragging rights, more cards to break down, more pay-per-views, more content, better quality content. We will be back better than ever. This
Beautiful.
Is only the beginning.
This is great.
Anything you want to say to the casuals before we go?
We love you. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. See you next year.
Shout out to CCMMA. If you have any picks that you want to bet on, go to DraftKings.com/CCMMA.
/CCMMA.
And I think we have a bunch of different bundles going on right now. So
the big one is you get 24 cents off your first purchase in 2024. It's a great deal. Honestly, I can't believe we were offered this.
All right. And that's it. Bye, guys.
Bye.